Time for another edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you as always, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com. Sam McDowell is from the Kansas City Star, columnist there. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We talk some Chiefs Raiders now. Still no Josh Simmons, but the Chiefs back at it. Nonetheless, the Raiders have done a pretty good job here of late. Do we think this game is going to be tougher than maybe the odds makers think it's going to be? What do you expect to see from Rashee Rice in his return? What do we think about the absence of Josh Simmons? A couple of blowout losses for the Raiders. Otherwise, their defense has been, kind of sound in some of those games. Do we think it could be tougher sledding for this Chiefs offense that everyone thinks is up and running? Can the Raiders find a way to unlock their run game? On a scale of 1 to 10, where's our concern for Harrison Butker? Nagy to the Titans, is that a good fit? The AFC playoff picture, where do the Chiefs stack up with that? We'll also get to our keys to the game and make our predictions on the Chiefs and Raiders coming up right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Off and running here on a Friday. If you're catching us via the podcast, remember you can be a part of the conversation. The stream comes at you live Fridays at 10 a.m. Let's begin talking about the Raiders. They have had some success. Go back to 23, where they shockingly beat the Chiefs. That seemed to be the launching point for the Chiefs getting their act together that year. Is this team going to be tougher to beat than maybe it looks on paper, Jeff?
I always think division games are always tougher than you think. I think about just that trend's held true throughout this season, throughout the NFL. I mean, when you're talking about the Patriots beating the Bills, or you look at the Bengals beating the Steelers last night. I mean, the Chiefs are clearly the better team by a mile. But you talk about recent history, and I thought they were clearly the better team a year ago. And that game came down to an Aiden O'Connell fumble at the end. I thought they were a better team 2 years ago, and they ended up losing on Christmas Day. And so I think this would be a closer game. I would still believe the Chiefs would win this. Maybe they put on a touchdown at the end to make it look better. But I think with Pete Carroll coming in, a veteran defensive coordinator who's seen Andy Reid a lot, with you still have Max Crosby over there. Geno Smith has been a turnover machine, yes, but I think they're going to have a game plan. And I think they'll make it a tougher game than people realize.
All right. How about you, Sam? 11.5, I think, was the number. Do you think that this is a double-digit game, or do you think the Raiders are going to turn it into one of those divisional rock fights?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to our predictions later. The short answer is I don't know, because what this team's been over the past couple of years. Like, we always think that the real test, the real measuring sticks, are the best teams you play. That the Chiefs had this test last week against the Lions, but to me, this is just as significant of a test, because these are the types of teams that the Chiefs have let hang around all last year. I mean, we talked a lot about last year that the Chiefs were not truly a 15-win team. It didn't feel that way. These games are why. These games are the ones that reminded us that this team was susceptible to getting beat by anybody. When this team was in its heyday, back in 2021, I guess it was 21, 22-ish, that they crushed these sort of teams. And so to me, this is just as interesting of a test even if for different reasons.
Yeah, I like that. Are they back to being elite? Because even though I remember Eric Eager talking about, like, you win your Super Bowls or sometimes you steal somebody else's, right? Your Super Bowls are the ones where you're the dominant team. You're the one everyone's like, okay, we're getting ready to anoint them the champion. And the last one certainly was not that, right? Like they just kind of got it together in the postseason. And I think there is an optimism here, Jeff, that this team is about ready to be elite. Do you agree with that, at least optimism, that they have the potential? The defense looks like it's still good, maybe not elite, but still good, very good. And the offense looks like it could be very good, maybe even more than that. Now that should be optimism that this could be the favorite by the end.
It's the elite question again, how we define that. Like, if you're talking, I've never thought they were, even when they were struggling, weren't one of the best teams in the league. And so to me, if you're talking about elite in that fashion, yeah, I think that they've always been in that conversation. I think that's the same is true of Buffalo, Philadelphia. If Baltimore had been healthy, I think that'd be a different story there. I mean, the Rams, the Lions, all these teams that are going through it in some way are going to be there at the end. I have no question about that. But if you're talking about elite in terms of, like Sam saying, going out and running through somebody 40-7, like, no, I don't think they're built in that way, because one, the contracts change that. When you're doing that, you have so much depth and you have so much talent across the board in so many areas. And this team is not wired in that way. They still rely a lot on their like a handful of stars to make the difference, and really to avoid the mistakes like you saw in Jacksonville. Like, those are the kind of things that get them in trouble. As Sam mentioned, going back to that Raiders game last week, when you have last year, when you have explosive plays or penalties or whatever it is, that keeps teams around. When you have elite talent and you're dominant, those teams can't hang with you no matter what you do.
It was like 2 years ago, early in the year, that they played the Bears and just crushed the Bears. Yeah. But that game arrived before they had gone through the streak of not really being able to blow teams out. And I remember walking into the stadium when they were playing the Bears saying, what am I going to write about today when they win like 35-7? And then every subsequent game when they played teams like that, it was like, you don't know what's going to happen. They could lose this game.
Yeah.
And like everything was in play when you walked in the stadium. Like, is this team going to get back to where it's like, can they just have boring blowouts again? Because it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. And if they're going to have boring blowouts, it'll be because offensively they become elite. Rashee Rice, what are the expectations, Jeff, for Rashee Rice coming back?
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. One thing about Rashee Rice, I think he's almost become like Bunyan-esque, right? People, as they remember him, it was like Jerry Rice was playing for this team, back before he got hurt. And it was like, he was a 900-yard receiver as a rookie. He had a good start last year. And I always tell people, when guys come back from major injuries, it takes a while to get going. He has not played football in a long time. And so while I think he will help the offense, and I think he'll get better as time goes on and be more productive, I don't think he's going to walk in here against the Raiders and go for 10 for 150 and 3 touchdowns. I think that people have to be realistic about what he's facing in terms of his body, in terms of the time that he's taken away. And to be honest with you, he's not seeing a team that is down 5 defensive backs or 7 defensive players. I mean, this will be a little bit of a different challenge. The Raiders aren't great, but I think seeing a healthier secondary will affect what he becomes. But they're going to be a better offense regardless of what happens with him.
He ramped up a training camp, Sam, and then he shut it down for 6 weeks. He has been practicing for 3 weeks. This is after not playing the last 13 games last year.
In the building, not practicing, so he hasn't
good point.
been able to, which is a key thing here to me, because like the Chiefs this week should be learning exactly how he looks on the field, by rules. So I agree with Jeff. I mean, I think that there needs to be an expectation set here that he's not going to be himself. Like right from, I do think they're going to try and feed him early on to try and get him involved. So I think the numbers could be there because they want the numbers to be there for Rashee Rice. But to me, the biggest thing here is just the yards after catch ability. They don't have other guys in that wide receiver room that can do what he does. Like, this is very clearly a different player than what's currently in the room. For 4 straight years, this team led the league in yards after catch. Last year they were 3rd, so they've got like a 6-year streak of being in the top 3 in yards after catch. this is their best guy at it. Like, this is the way they want to play offense. And now they're plugging in the guy who allows them to play that way more than anybody. And I've said it, but like when they drafted Xavier Worthy, that the thought is that he can suddenly unlock their downfield passing game. And Tyquan Thornton's certainly done some things. He's still the most targeted receiver downfield in the NFL this year. But to me, if you want to unlock the full field, it's a player like Rashee Rice who can force teams to give him attention in the short game and the intermediate game. Like, this to me is what truly could unlock your ability to use the full scope of the field offensively.
Yeah. By the way, I like this one. I used on the radio show that this offense is like they want to take out the sports car and see what it can do. Don't do that, because what happened? I didn't road race out there. That's not my problem. Okay. He needs to stay away from that metaphor. Not me. But I get it. I know you meant it humorously, Joel. I do think the one aspect that hadn't been talked about is when you haven't played football for a while. I mean, Jeff, especially when we used to have holdouts all the time, holdouts often equaled injuries that year, right? When you didn't go through camp and you didn't get your body used to the pounding and everything, like, do the Chiefs have to be careful to not get him hurt? Do they have to have a snap count that they're looking at for him to make sure that they don't overdo it and they monitor and ease him in just to protect the games that are still to come that they will need him for?
Oh, I totally believe that that's the case, and I'm sure they've thought about that, having some kind of plan for him that makes sense. I do agree with Sam. I think they're going to try to get him going early to make him feel good and get some confidence in him, but you don't want to overdo it either. I mean, ironically, the game against the Lions would have been a great game to have him because the Lions are playing to take away the deep ball, and they had guys so deep that it's all kinds of room for him to operate underneath
100%.
In a game like that. So I just don't know how the Raiders are going to play it. But the Raiders, it's aside from a couple games, and we'll talk about it shortly, they played solid defense. They beat New England in New England. The New England team everybody loves now, they beat them in week 1 and held that team 13 points. And so they have the ability to do it. But, yeah, I imagine they'll have a good plan for him. I hope that he comes out of it healthy. I hope that people are realistic, that if it's 5 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown, that it's not like, oh, what's he doing now? Like, it's going to take some time for him to get up to speed.
I think they shouldn't be disappointed if it's 3 for, 45. I mean, I think if he, as long as the offense is churning, then that's what matters, right? I mean, it's not about what his numbers are; it's what the offense's numbers are, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, he arrives to a different situation than, frankly, I anticipated him arriving to. I mean, I thought the Chiefs would need him more this week than what it appears based on the past 3 weeks. I mean, I still think that this offensive line is to credit as much as anything for the reason they're playing a lot better over the last 3 weeks. And the quarterback looking like he trusts the offensive line, to me, is just a huge difference maker. But they've got every other weapon available other than Rashee Rice, which should be part of what you're saying about how frequently does he play. Is you don't need him as much as maybe you were expecting. And so therefore, I think you have all the reason in the world to ease him into this. But again, I anticipate that they're going to play him quite a bit, and I anticipate they're going to try and get him involved quite a bit.
Well, and one thing I'd also say too, he's about to enter a different world, because that start last year had a lot to do with teams still feeling like we got to stop Kelsey, right? And so they were weighing more heavily towards Kelsey and letting him have single coverage. He's going to see a lot more attention from defenses this year, and it'll probably start this week too.
Yeah, for sure. And so, is it a giant Kelsey day? Is it a giant Xavier Worthy day? Somebody in the comments were predicting that. I don't know. They've got more weapons to defend against, and so somebody should have a big day. That's the key, as long as they get it done somewhere. The key is to get in touch with our friends at Gan Asphalt and Concrete. If you need seal coating done, cold weather's on the way. They are booking up fast at Gan Asphalt and Concrete. Gan Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gan educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gan Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gan online at GANAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gan Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, let's talk a little bit about Josh Simmons being gone. What do we think now, Jeff? Is information not coming out, nothing leaking out? It's certainly kind of a unique situation.
Oh, it's very unique. I mean, I was my first year covering the NFL, I covered the Raiders, and I had an assistant coach, John Fox, the defense coordinator, disappeared after a preseason game, was never heard from again for about a year. And then Anthony Smith, the defensive end, disappeared for about 4 or 5 weeks, and nobody knew where he was. The part about this that made my ears perk up is when you start talking about Brett Veach is the one handling this. That tells you it's a procedural thing, that there's things happening here that go beyond just the run-of-the-mill family problem type stuff. And I hope he's all right. I hope whatever is happening with him is being handled well. But you're also a professional, and when you don't show up for a game and your team's not aware of you disappearing on them, that's a problem. And so I don't really know what's happened. Absolutely nobody knows what's happening, but the fact that there is so little information and no real acknowledgement of when he's going to return, it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I do know if Brett Veach is the one dealing with it and Andy Reid can't talk about it, it's beyond just it's pretty serious.
Yeah, for sure. Sam, where are we as we continue to not have anything official come from the Chiefs? Where does this go from here?
Who knows? I mean, that to me is the headline here is that the Chiefs don't know when he's going to be back. And, I mean, I think that the objective right now is to get him back in the building as soon as possible, but they don't know when that's going to be. I mean, I'm going out to practice here in an hour, and I don't know if Josh Simmons is going to be back out there, maybe. But I also don't know if it's in a month, if he's going to be back out there, because as of earlier this week, I mean, the Chiefs really had no idea when to expect Josh Simmons back. I mean, they've classified it as a personal situation. I'm sure we've all heard some things. I mean, I certainly just have empathy right now for whatever he's going through, and hope that situation resolves itself. But from a football standpoint, Jeff's right. I mean, that was my reaction to when Andy Reid said that Brett Veach was involved, is at some point they're going to have to consider how long can you have somebody on the roster who's not showing up for work. And is that to me was that message that Andy Reid was sending. If Brett Veach is involved, are they already there? Are they already thinking it might be such an extended absence that they might need to put him on, like an NFI list, for example? Like it was an indicator to me of just the uncertainty here from the organization's perspective, not just ours.
Two things that jumped to me. One, Patrick Mahomes saying he was praying for him. Okay. I mean, if it's, guy had to go out and sign some mortgage papers or taking care of, whatever it might be in life. I don't, I'm things that, and this isn't it because the young man wasn't married or anything, but, I've had friends who've got a divorce. It's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be late to work because I got to go sign the divorce papers, or I got to meet with the lawyer. Whatever those things are, we're closing on a house. I got to go. The things that take people away from quote unquote normal jobs. You don't pray for somebody to go close a mortgage, right? You don't pray for somebody to sign legal documentation. So that I thought was of note. And you mentioned the NFI, the non-football injury list. Right now, you could say, well, they haven't put him on that. That's a 4-week minimum stay. So they're optimistic that they'll get him back within 4 weeks. But in reality, until they want to activate somebody, which will be on game day, they don't need to do that really until Sunday. Or until they have somebody they want to sign. If they're going to bump somebody up from the practice squad, then they got to identify who they want to sign to replace that player on the practice squad. And when they want to do that, that's when they need to create the opening. And this is a team that's trying to save cap this year to roll over to next year because of where their cap situation is. So they may not be looking to sign anyone. They may just say, look, we don't need any more against the cap. We got our guy. We carried 9 offensive linemen. Until we lose somebody else, we have Wanya Morris as the backup tackle on both sides. We're okay. So it's tough to get a read on it, but it is very much out of the ordinary. That's one of the things that I think jumps up here on this. So Jalen Moore plays at left tackle. The Raiders have at times played some decent defense. Do you give this Raider defense any chance? They do have Max Crosby. He can work against either side of this. They're moving him around a lot more. I know from talking to people in Vegas, trying to find the better matchups. So if they think they've got the better matchup on Jalen Moore, better matchup on Jawan Taylor, they'll move him around. Should we be concerned as Chiefs fans that this Raiders defense could be better than we thought?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, and again, it's not taking anything away from the improvements of the offense, but I mean, the Chiefs' last 3 games, 2 have come against really depleted defenses. And I would say Detroit played fairly well given what they had coming in. And so I would not – I know somebody made the comment about functionally the Raiders aren't down defensive backs, but Pete Carroll's a smart coach. And Pete Carroll has coached against Andy Reid a lot. And when you see veteran defensive coordinators go against this team, they tend to have some tricks, and it's nice to have a Max Crosby in your back pocket. But I would expect them to probably do some of the same things the Lions did in terms of trying to mitigate the big plays. Let's try to keep Tyquan Thornton or Xavier Worthy from being factored. Let's keep stuff in front of us. Let's make them run the ball. And really, when you're playing defense against the Chiefs, in Jacksonville proved this, you don't need to be phenomenal. You just need to get some plays here or there that turn the tide. And so if they're able to get a strip sack or interception or whatever, that can keep them in the game. If they don't get those things, they're probably not going to be in the game.
Yeah. What do you think? Is there a chance that they've got the magic elixir the way they did on that Christmas Day game, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, Max Crosby is a game wrecker. So, yeah, I mean, he certainly can change some things. I will point out that Crosby struggled this year, at least by his own standards. Like his pressure rate is far below where it typically is. And Next Gen Stats had something I was looking at today that he's been chipped a ton and he's really struggled in the situations where he has been chipped. The Chiefs aren't a team that chips a lot.
They don't chip well when they do.
It made me wonder if the Chiefs will look at this and say, this guy has struggled in these situations. Let's put him in these situations. But it's typically, like I said, not the way that they like to go.
Yeah. It is a little bit of, does this team get a little cocky, start feeling good about themselves that, hey, we're there. I mean, that is one of the things that I would be worried about if I were Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes said it was the first thing that Andy said to us. So I mean, I think they're aware of it. Would you have called the Jacksonville game a letdown? They played well and statistically dominated, but they lost the game. Was that a letdown? Because there was kind of a similar feeling to, okay, we're back at 2-2, we're good. Or was that just the way the game is played? Sam, you're shaking your head. You don't think?
No, I mean, I thought they were terrific offensively in that game. So,
they were. They didn't win.
They didn't, but I mean the
Patrick mistakes.
Yeah, I mean the Patrick Mahomes pick 6 has an EPA of 12.7. So, I mean, if not for that play, they win that game.
Simple as that, Jeff.
That play happened. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, it did. But I'm just saying, if you play well 70 out of 71 plays, I can't call it a letdown. They deserve to lose the game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and that's my thing. I think. And I said this on Tuesday, we have to be very careful about saying the Chiefs' offense is better, so they're dominant. Again, it's not like it doesn't correlate that way in my mind. I think they have issues that can cost them games. If their pass rush isn't getting home, it's going to cost them games, right? If Harrison Butker is missing field goals or PAT, kicking the ball out of bounds in a critical situation, you're going to lose games. Like their offense isn't at a level anymore where it can just create this huge gap between them and everybody else. And you're seeing that across the board. The teams that are, when I watch, again, Buffalo or Philadelphia lately, it's like they're still talented teams, but they're struggling to deal with some stuff, and because they've got some flaws that are getting exposed. And I think you don't have to go back too far to see the Chiefs still have these same flaws. It's just a matter of, are they going to manage them from week to week? And I think you're right. I think if you come in here thinking, oh, we're bad now, look at our offense and Rashee's here, we're going to take off, and all of a sudden it's 13-10 in the fourth quarter, and it's like, well, what happened? And you're looking at Butker, you're going to make a kick now? I think that's where they're at as a team.
Yeah, we'll get to Butker in a second. We know Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. They've got a talented running back. They've been effective really only in one game against the Bears. But the Chiefs, well, they talk about stopping the run first, and I think they do begin their defensive game plan front to back, starting with the run. They're designed to stop the pass. And is there a way for the Raiders to get their run game going, Sam, and control the clock? We saw the Lions hold 10 minutes of possession to open that game, and a lot of it was with the run. I mean, is there a path for the Raiders to run it at the Chiefs and to shorten the game and keep themselves in it?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Ashton Genty was one of the few blue chip prospects that was in that last draft, but I look at the Raiders running numbers, and to me, it's proof why when you have so many holes and so much to try and improve, you shouldn't be taking a running back, in the top 10, because still, despite that decision, they're 31st in the NFL in EPA per rush. They're 27th in success rate. Nobody has been stuffed for 0 yards or negative yards more frequently than the Raiders have this year. Ashton Genty has 424 yards, 362 are after contact. And so, yeah, I mean, he's good enough to make something. We've seen him do it even this year in the short sample size, to make something out of nothing, but he's required to make something out of nothing far too frequently. To me, this is a big Nick Bolton matchup. He did not have his best game last week. The Lions targeted him in coverage. This is the reason you signed Nick Bolton. He's Next Gen Stats had this today as well. He's got the 5th highest tackle rate on running plays among any linebacker in the league. He needs to show up today or Sunday. Like, this is his game. This is the reason he's on the roster.
Jeff, do you see the path for the Raiders to get it going well enough?
Well, the path for me is Geno Smith being better with the football. I mean, he's got 10 interceptions.
Let the ass kicking begin.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like if he's taking care of the football, it's a different story. And Sam's right. You need a lot of different elements to work for the run game to work, not just a great running back. And you're seeing that when you're throwing those interceptions and getting behind in games, and they've had a couple games where they've gotten blown out here. It's hard to run the football. Like it is mind-boggling to see their numbers, because they've only had like a couple games in the first 6 weeks where they've actually been really effective running the football. And so I don't have any doubt that they will come out with a similar game plan to what the Lions had in last week, which is, let's try to get the ground game going. Let's be consistent. Let's be committed to it. Let's shorten the game. That's really their best hope of winning this game, is shortening it, is making sure Mahomes is on the sideline more often than not, which means I can see Ashton Genty having like 30 carries in this game if he's up to it.
7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions from Geno Smith. I'm hearing from people in Vegas that, he's kind of excusing. He's like, he's taking it's me. It's my fault because I didn't see that so-and-so didn't do whatever, kind of things. To me, that's already a sketch situation. I'm with you. Like, you can't just run it. Your quarterback's going to have to make some plays. If Geno Smith has a day, that's the path. Yes. And I don't mean has a day like 425 yards. I mean, if Geno Smith could have a 18 for 23 for 222 yards with 1 or 2 big plays in there, but he just keeps moving the chains and they're able to get that run game going, I guess that would be the path that I would see the Raiders getting there. And Butker continuing to have issues. Where on a scale of 1 to 10 is your fear of Harrison Butker right now, Jeff?
I'm at 10. I mean, I don't think I can go any higher with it, because every game it's an issue. And you can tell it's affecting him every game. I mean, he's missing – when he missed that extra point in the Lions game, you could feel the air come out of the place. I mean, I wasn't there, but it just felt like, here we go again. We had this great drive. Offense looks good. Here we go. Boop. There goes the ball wide left. And so when you're missing – it's one thing if you're missing 55-yard field goals, right? I mean, that's a tough kick. But when you're missing the easy stuff and you're consistently doing it, when you're kicking the ball out of bounds, when you're consistently being good at that, I think he's past the point of making excuses about, what they're trying with special teams or, the kick's too far. I think he legitimately is in his head. And I don't know how he gets out of this, because at some point it's going to cost him. They're playing teams, maybe not this week, but then the Commanders, the Bills, the Broncos, the Colts, these teams, they're going to be close games. And if he's doing this stuff in these kind of moments, I just don't know how you can trust him right now.
Sam, are we surprised? Do you see Butker in the locker room? You go in there more than I do. I usually stay in.
No, he's post game, yeah, but during the week, the kickers are gone early because he's working during lunch. I mean, he's out on the field early. You were there yesterday, Soren, when I was asking Dave Tobe about how much of this is mental, and he said it's all mental. That was a concerning answer for me, because I think it would be great if you could point to something in the techniques, a hitch in the windup, something you could work on every day. But Dave Tobe says he's making kicks in practice every day. And so, how do you work on this? Because it's going to be the game situation is what's prompting all mental. And I can promise you the kicks are going to get more pressure filled than they are right now in week 6 of the regular season on the opening drive, an extra point. There's been 16 missed extra points in the NFL. He's missed 3 of them this year. This is I think when the extra points initially got moved back to the 33 yards, that they were more frequently missed. And so if a guy had missed a couple, it didn't stand out as much. 3 out of 16 in the entire league belongs to one guy. I mean, going through, it's going to have to be him who gets through this mental thing. I mean, I even asked Dave Tobe yesterday about, so are you coaching him through it? Do you just stand off and say, hey, he'll get through this? And he says, oh no, I'm not mentioning it to him. He knows. That to me is a sensitive situation to have a kicker be experiencing right now.
Yeah, you're almost
before you go, Soren. Yeah. I was going to say, Soren. Let's not. He's having mistakes in all different areas. It's field goals, it's PAT, it's kickoffs. It's all over the place.
And the thing I would add to that, Jeff, is what we heard yesterday, Sam, was when he got asked. I think everybody could see it. The leg collapse or the knee bend on the plant leg was what he did last year. And everybody was asking about, hey, we're noticing this. And Dave Tobe said, oh, he's always done that. And then you go get a film. You go back to, everyone has the NFL Plus from your guys, Jeff, and you go watch one of the old games. No, he's not doing that. And so then this year he comes in and he's not bending the knee. It's well, he's got a new approach. We wanted to get away from the bending the knee thing. It's okay. And so then on his miss this past week, we saw that again, and he hooks it. And he goes, well, and I thought it was interesting. He goes, we're not going back to that. Did you catch that part from Tobe?
Yeah.
He's like, well, he did the knee bend and that, we talked about that last year. Yeah, I know, where you acted like it's what he's always done. And now you're like, so he's not acting like, no. We're done with the nothing to see here. He was like, yeah. He acknowledged that's it. And he said the week before, well, it's always, there's not one consistent thing. And so that's why he thought it was you talk about concentration. And now it's I'm with you, Jeff. I'm not at 10. I was at 3 or 4. He'll work through it. He's too good. I'm 7.5, 8, somewhere in that range, because it is all over the place and it's something different every week and they're not making progress.
One of the biggest tells for me about the Chiefs' concern level of it was that, in his typical 3-minute post game after Andy Reid, when the Chiefs win, gives a 3-minute intro in his post game and compliments every player that played on the field that day. And he mentioned the fact that Butker made his last field goal, which was it was a chip shot field goal. Him feeling the need to point out that he made one, to me, it's man, you guys are really concerned about where he is right now.
I call it Johnny made a poo. When you're teaching your kids, you're potty training them, and everyone's sitting around clapping when they use the toilet. It's as an adult, it's the most basic of things. But we're going to make a big deal out of it because, he's a little guy, and look at this. He, no training wheels on the bike. Yay. Settle down. Yeah, I agree. I think that jumped out as well. All right, we want to talk about Nagy to the Titans. We want to get into where the Chiefs stack up in the AFC. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Red, Gold, and Bold is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
GAN Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let GAN educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, GAN Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find GAN online at GANasphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. GAN Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right, Matt Nagy to the Titans. If it's going to happen, I hope it works better than Matt Nagy's answer that he gave when asked about it this week. I don't think he saw that coming, and he gave a word salad that I have no idea where it was going. But eventually we did get out of it that he preps for job interviews in the offseason. I don't know, did you prep 31 of them, like for every team could be interviewed? I'm not really, I mean, I guess it's like, you know, your overall vision of the NFL. I'm not sure. But anyway, Sam, what do you think? Matt Nagy to the Titans. Good idea, bad idea?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Nagy wants to be a head coach again, and obviously the connection is very clear with Mike Borgonzi having left the Chiefs last year for that GM job. So I think Matt Nagy is going to be a good coach the second round, and I think he was better the first round than most people gave him credit for.
Agreed.
Because people hadn't yet decided that Mitch Trubisky was no good, and therefore a lot of that fell on him. He went 25-13 in Mitch Trubisky starts. Mitch Trubisky without Matt Nagy went 6-13. 25-13 with Matt Nagy, 6-13 without him. So I thought his tenure in Chicago, and it, to a lot of people, probably looks better in retrospect, but I never saw it with Mitch Trubisky then. And I think a lot of people said, okay, it's on Matt Nagy to develop him. But to me, that's the Titans situation, right? Is you don't know what this quarterback is. You're asking somebody to come in and develop him. I don't know if it's a bad fit for the Titans, but is it a great fit for Matt Nagy, a guy who I think is going to have more options than just this?
Mike Vrabel can flat out coach, and they got sideways with him. That's a problem, right? Like ownership, the Adams family, Bud, and now his daughter, seem to kind of muddle around, and
They're quick. They're quick to make changes for sure.
They are quick to make changes. If I were Matt Nagy, I would pass on this. And the vibe I'm getting is that he's ready to roll. And I think that's kind of the reason why we got kind of an awkward answer from him, is because I think he's excited and loves hearing his name. And I think he's chomping at the bit to go. And I'm with you. I don't think he has anything to prove. I thought he did an excellent job with the Bears. And I think the Bears are an organization that don't know what they're doing. That's part of the reason why they didn't say, okay, you know what? We like where he came from, and Mitchell Trubisky's not progressing. Let's give him another quarterback to try with. But it's not how it works in the NFL. Usually you'll go. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong on making a draft pick. Cam Ward, the early returns are mixed at best, Jeff. If you're the Titans, I get why you do it. If you're Matt Nagy, I'd just be patient and wait.
Yeah, but when you're in that situation, you rarely get to have great opportunities. I mean, you look at Ben Johnson versus Aaron Glenn, for example. I mean, one guy's coaching a winless team, the other guy's got, a number one overall pick, supposedly a generational quarterback, and a team that's 3-3. And so if you want opportunities, you got to take them when they come.
Well, I'm with you.
No.
That is a great point. But Ben Johnson, he could have had any job he wanted. And he went, Jets, no quarterback, no. Bears, 1-1, seen enough. I'll try to make that work. I think it comes down to, do you believe in Cam Ward? I mean, I think he's not going to get offered this till the end of the year. And he'll have time, but you got to grind through the tape and be like, when you've got some free time here, during the year, you need to be looking at Cam Ward and deciding, can I fix this or not? And if you can't, if you believe in him, you take the job. If you don't do it.
Yeah, well, and Cam Ward, I mean, I think obviously the Mike Borgonzi connection is what makes this probably a a discussion about Matt Nagy. I don't think Matt Nagy's in the same category Ben Johnson was in last year, where Ben Johnson was just so ballyhooed, for 2 years about his genius and what he can do with an offense. So I think there's a little different thing there. And ironically, Matt Nagy suffers from timing because he never coached Patrick Mahomes, right? And so you can't even pull that card out of saying, well, I was involved in his development, right? And so you've got Trubisky and you've got the Bears, and that's really it. But there's going to be other offensive guys out there who are going to be hot names, like Joe Brady in Buffalo. I could see Cliff Kingsbury getting a second shot with what's happening with Jaden Daniels in Washington.
Although they're not exactly thrilled with what's happening with Jaden Daniels right now, I will point out.
But you could
I just had a conversation
Yeah.
with our guy in DC, and he's like, people don't want to admit the quarterback's not playing well.
Yeah, well, he's been banged up too. He had the knee injury. And
I agree.
other factors.
I'm just saying, as far as the Nagy I think your points are valid. I think those are all good names. But if this offense is going to take off, his name will become hot.
Yeah. Again, it depends on how much credit you want to give for that. It's like Doug Peterson was the last guy. I guess Peterson left before Nagy. Nagy was the last guy to get out of here and be hot, but it didn't work for Eric Bieniemy. It hasn't worked for Steve Spagnuolo. I think, again, what makes Tennessee interesting, which is why he probably needs to consider it, is Borgonzi being there and the quarterback. But I also agree with you. It's like it's not a slam dunk as far as going there and having an opportunity to be successful. But I don't think that factors into how these guys look at these jobs. I think they look at it like, I've been waiting for all this time. I better take the best thing I get.
If this Chiefs offense plays the way it's been playing, the Titans will not be the only team he has the opportunity to interview with this playoff season.
Yeah, I agree. I think if that's a big if, but I think it's one that I would bet on, that they're going to be impressive enough offensively that he will again be a hot name. And I think now his resume does get better because we've seen Mitchell Trubisky go on to be nothing without him. And so I think that does elevate him. Like, all the returns are in on Mitch Trubisky. He didn't go to Buffalo and then immediately get an offer for a starting job someplace else. He's settled in that the league has said, you're a backup quarterback. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think we'll see what else is out there for him. How do the Chiefs stack up against the rest of the AFC when it comes to playoffs right now? Second favorite or co-favorite with the Bills for the Super Bowl? Jeff, where would you put them in the AFC?
I think the Bills are still top, but they're number two. I mean, they're number two because of pedigree and because of potential. To me, the Bills, with their schedule, their own pedigree, their opportunities to be successful, I still feel like they're going to be, and they're in first place in their division. They're tied for first place. The Chiefs still have to climb over Denver and the Chargers. And that is, I know that they're playing well, but I don't want to be dismissive of what those teams can become, because I think those teams, when they're at their best, can be pretty hard to deal with. And there's no guarantee the Chiefs win the AFC West right now. I mean, we can say it, but I don't think there is that guarantee.
Yeah, where do you put them, Sam?
No, I mean, they're still plus money to win the AFC West, even though they're the favorite. I'm not as high on the Chargers and Broncos as I think most people are. I'd have a hard time if I only get to pull one team's name out of the hat, not wanting to pick the Chiefs right now in the AFC. Having said that, I still think, even though to me the Chiefs are a better team than the Bills defense has a ton of issues. I think in DVOA they're like 28th. I think in yards per play that they're bottom third of the league. Like, their defense is really struggling right now in Buffalo. That schedule just lines up for them to have the best path at the number one seed still, and still be the team that's playing games on their home field in the playoffs. But I have a hard time right now. I think I said this on Tuesday before the time I pick against the Chiefs winning the AFC, especially when we're talking before a Week 7 game, I better be able to point to a really good team elsewhere in the AFC, and I can't find it right now.
So the Bills aren't just having some hiccups. They're not a good team. Not a really good
not
team.
A good team. Yeah, I think the Bills. Yeah, I think the Bills are good. Yeah, I think the Bills are a good team. I think if this was a Bills podcast, the way we scrutinize the Chiefs, we would have a lot to scrutinize the Bills on right now.
Right. I think we saw what Jacksonville was. I think the Colts are a nice story, but they'll probably get to the playoffs with the start they're off to, but I don't think they're a threat to go anywhere.
Really?
But why do you think that? Yeah.
Why? Is that Daniel Jones? Period. End of discussion.
Do you think they're a good team, though?
I think the rest of the pieces are good. I think they've been good. I think they'll get to the playoffs, and I don't think they'll go anywhere in the playoffs. You think they're a threat to, like, we could be talking about, them in San Jose for the Super Bowl?
I think that there are a lot of teams right now that are figuring out who they are. And so I think Daniel Jones played pretty well. And if he can play at this level, and look at what Sam Darnold was last year. I know they lost in the playoffs, but they won 14 games with that. Now they played better teams in the playoffs.
That's my point. Yes, that is my blueprint for no, I don't worry about the Colts, as I did not worry about the Vikings last year.
Well, put it this way. I think if the Chiefs can lose to the Jaguars, they can lose to the Colts. Because the Colts are the best team in the AFC South.
Of course they can lose any one of them. But my point is any one game. But I said that what I said about the Colts. Listen, the Colts are not winning 3 or 4 playoff games in a row.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Can
you're saying you're picking who's going to win the championship, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about. Like, as far as a threat.
Oh, I thought we were talking about who's going to get the top seed in the AFC.
Yeah, because statistically, like on the ESPN analytics, for example, it has the Colts as by far the highest odds to get the number 1 seed. It still has the Chiefs with the highest odds to reach the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs are at like 20% is the highest odds, but the Colts are at I'm 27% to earn the bye, and second is Buffalo at 15. Like,
I misread the question. I was thinking top seed in the AFC.
The Colts still have at Chargers. The Titans will be a win. At Steelers, Falcons, at Chiefs, Texans, at Jags, at Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, at Texans. What do you think the final record is?
They could go 6-5 and be 11-6.
Yes, that's not the 1 seed.
It might be. To be honest with you,
no,
they could be.
Oh no,
I think the 1 seed might be 12, 13 wins tops.
12. I think it'll be a minimum of 12 wins. And it might be the Colts.
They can go 7-4 and get there. They got the easiest path to get there because they're 5-1.
As a Chiefs fan, if the Chiefs are not going to get the number 1 seed, I would get on my knees and pray it's the Colts.
Yeah,
because
here's a great example.
The Chiefs will be favored by like 8.5, 9.5 points at Indy in a playoff game.
I don't argue with that. Think about the Tennessee Titans when Mike Vrabel was there. And they were saying the same things about Ryan Tannehill. I'm not saying they didn't,
and they never got there.
But they ended up. We're talking about the number 1 seed. We're talking about. Yeah. What do you think they're going to finish, the Colts?
I think they'll probably lose the majority of those games I just listed. I think they'll probably be not the majority of the majority of the tough ones. They'll lose at the Chargers. They'll lose at the Steelers. They'll lose at the Chiefs. They will lose at the Seahawks. And they will lose a game to the Texans. So I think their most likely finish is, and I'll be wrong on 1 or 2 of those, and they'll spit the bit on something else. They'll go 11-6. What I mean, you want to wager?
I think the Colts might be the only AFC team that Patrick Mahomes has a losing record against, including the playoffs. Obviously he's got a losing record against Buffalo in the regular season, but
But Soren, you're thinking about it from a
terrifying
standpoint. We're talking about it from a who's going to be the top seed in the AFC.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to fall apart. I think they've proven that they're a pretty good team.
I don't think they're any threat to go to the Super Bowl, and I'll be happy to.
But that's not what we're saying. We're saying they're not going to fall apart. You're saying they're going to fall apart.
I said I think they're going to the playoffs, but they are no threat to do any real damage. By that I mean
agree with that.
Be moving on. I don't think they'll be the 1 seed, and I don't think they can win 2 games to get to the conference championship game.
I don't think. Just to be clear, I don't think any of us are picking the Colts to go to the Super Bowl.
No,
but I do think the Colts are not a fluke. I think that they're better than what team they've earned 5-1. And to be honest, they very easily could have won that Rams game that they lost in LA. I think the Colts are a pretty good team, and they're capable.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think we're that far apart. It's just I am adamant that they're not going to do any real damage. What are the keys to getting a Chiefs victory, Sam?
To me, it's the pressure for the Raiders. I mean, to me, the only way this offense slows down is with pressure. And the Raiders have not generated a ton of pressure this year. Their pass rush is bottom 10 in pressure rate, bottom 10 in time in allowing time to throw. The time it takes to get pressure, like I mentioned earlier, Max Crosby has not been great this year. And when the Raiders get pressure, they allow the fewest yards per pass play in the NFL when they get pressure. You can't allow the Raiders to generate pressure. You can't allow Max Crosby to win the game, because to me, that's the only path I can see for the Raiders winning this game.
Okay. What's the key, Jeff?
I'd echo the same thing. I think it's a Max Crosby moment. This is a shorten the game situation for the Raiders. This is no turnovers, no penalties. I mean, this team is capable of having those moments. I don't think Jacksonville's the outlier here. I think this team is capable of having moments where they make mistakes, don't do the right thing, and get a big, a Butker kick going awry and having it go the wrong way. I forgot that Derek Carr, that Devontae Adams catch 3 years ago. I think the Raiders playing Arrowhead is not something that they worry about. And so the Chiefs have to take them seriously, because I think they can come here. They probably think they can come here and win the game.
I think they got to silence Ashton Genty, make sure that he's not getting big gains, knowing where Max Crosby is. One thing I've heard from people in Vegas, they're kind of excited that they're moving him up and down the line, and that's maybe going to unlock something. But I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to score, right? So take care of the football, and I think they're probably fine, right? I'll be interested to hear where the predictions are on this one. Let's do that. What do you got, Sam?
I'm going to steal your fury. I think that the Chiefs put up points, and I'm having a hard time figuring out exactly why I would think that the Raiders are going to put up points. So I've got 30-13 Chiefs.
Okay, 30-13. Jeff?
I got Chiefs 21-13.
21-13. I do believe Fury will be unleashed. I think it's the first time I'll call for it. I don't know. They got to 30 against the Lions. I didn't really feel like they were unleashing the Fury. It was just a real professional win against a real good team. But I think the Fury's unleashed in this one. I don't know. I'm going to take the Chiefs to get out to 38.
38.
38? Well, if you're going to call for the Fury to be unleashed.
I guess so.
Can't call for 26-10 or something. I'll go 38-17 is the final in this one. Oh, by the way, touchdown from the Raiders gets them to 17. 38-17. Chiefs. Fury unleashed. You can unleash your support of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast by supporting our great sponsors. Cold weather's coming. The seal coating, they can only do it while the weather's warmer. GAN Asphalt and Concrete's been solving parking lot problems in Kansas City since 1994. Book now at GANAsphalt.com. Frontier Justice with locations in Lee Summit, KCK, and Jenks, Oklahoma. Premier indoor shooting range and training, all under one roof. You can learn more by going to frontier-justice.com. And of course, don't forget about the $10 lunch specials, under $10 daily lunch specials at Italian Delight. They're just a little bit east of the Speedway, about 3 minutes east on State Avenue, 8145. The first restaurant to bring true New York style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago is Italian Delight. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.